Should we talk about Rebel Ridge?
let's talk about this movie that's number one in a ton of countries internationally. Huge Netflix hit, really, really topical, relevant film. You know, there was just a big story in the NFL, as you may have seen, with Tyreek Hill being rousted by the police in a scene that's like could have been, out of the movie. So it's crazy that I mean, this is so on the pulse of of socio-political issues.
And yet it feels like it could be First Blood for 2024, right?
That was exactly
40-year-old movie. Good Lord.
You took the words out of my mouth. That was one of the things that struck me the most about it, was that this is a contemporary take on that kind of material, and I've just been reading the original novel as well, where the sheriff is much more sympathetic and Rambo is much more of a psychopath. It's a little bit more of a balance you don't know how to root for in the film.
Interesting.
It's much more clearly Stallone is the underdog and Dennehy as the sheriff is kind of a piece of shit, but it isn't completely a mustache twirling villain. This is much more like the film of First Blood in that respect. The police department is evil, and in this instance, and the Don Johnson character is but similarly, even though he's a repugnant character, there are shades of dimension to him. Like he in a classic tradition of no one is a villain unto themselves. He has a rationality for what he's doing to keep the department afloat, etc. So obviously the film's about asset forfeiture, and I thought it was very witty that a clever casting of Don Johnson, because Miami Vice, the original show, was all about asset forfeiture. That's why the cops had Ferraris and all these kind of these toys to play with, because they were being seized from drug dealers.
I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, ever. So I wonder if that was part of the thinking behind his casting. Of course, he's played a lot of these hard ass characters in films like Brawl and Cell Block 99, where he's the prison warden, and more specifically Dragged Across Concrete, where he plays the police captain.
I gotta watch that movie. That seems like Philly special.
Fantastic monologue with him and Mel Gibson, where it's just, you can see like he's been ramping up to this, and I'm you don't know how deep I go on my fandom for Don Johnson. I even love, did you know he had a pop song and it's really good?
Did you know that I met him?
What? You wanted me?
I met him at a screening of Knives Out.
Oh, wow.
I got to go to a screening of that about a week or two before it came out, and Craig was there, and Jamie Lee Curtis was there, and Ryan Johnson was there. Ryan Johnson, sweet human being. And I got to chat with Don Johnson for a few minutes, and I'm not by your level of fandom, but he was really nice. He is incredible in this movie. I mean, what an amazing performance. And I should say that, like, I watched this film last night. I've been really excited to watch it. It's really stuck around in my brain. I have this term I use for the movie, like an art hangover the morning after I watch like a good movie, and it's like churning in my brain and I can't stop thinking about it. And I have to say, this movie has a fascinating sort of place in contemporary moviedom, because I expected it to be kind of more of like a down-home revenge thriller, right? And I expected more First Blood. And what I think I got, Jeremy Saulnier, the director of this movie, who I think can't miss. He's made, 4 movies now that are all great. Blue Ruin, Green Room, It's Die Hard at a Punk Show.
I think we're going to do it. It's on the list now.
It's on the list. And he just doesn't miss. He's really talented. And I think he has called this movie First Blood meets Michael Clayton, which I think is so fascinating, because I actually feel like, and I mean this not derogatorily at all, that this is First Blood meets True Crime Podcast, because the amount of detail and exposition and thought put into kind of the civil forfeiture and the dynamics of a police department and the sort of like bureaucrats who work at City Hall who can't do anything, the legal process, like, it's much richer in that than I expected it to be. And also, I think to the movie's credit, I think Saulnier is a slow burn king. I think he's directed a few episodes of True Detective, which is a slow burn show. And this movie never, I think to its credit, boils over into like outright balls to the wall action picture. It's very measured. Aaron Pierre who's incredible in this movie star in the making, is very sort of reluctant to go full Rambo, so to speak. And I think the tension that creates in this movie is so powerful because it never fully dispels of its energy and becomes like a cathartic experience, is the way that I would describe it.
Well, he's constantly trying to de-escalate, as in the martial arts tradition, like which is part of his character, right? You know, a lot of, you know, I'm no, by any stretch, no martial artist. I know people that I've dabbled in it, and I know people that do it. Some who are experts, and talk to them about it, who are actually very. You know, if you're really into the philosophy of it, I remember there's a old friend of mine who was a karate black belt, and he said basically it's like you do absolutely anything you can to not get in a fight, but if you do get in a fight, you win. It's like, but the first thing is more important. It's actually like totally, you know, it's not like show off what a badass you are and like, you know, and F people up. It was actually completely, the philosophy of most martial arts is towards de-escalation.
Minimizing conflict or de-escalating conflict.
And that's what's so interesting about the tension of Aaron Pierre's performance, which is that he's constantly trying not to go there. And even where you know that he's fully capable of decimating everyone. And it's just, it's so interesting to watch a film that's like, wow, this is so tense to watch, but yet at the same time, it's really enjoyable. But it's rare to watch a film when I was thinking, you know, the character of Summer, who's fantastic. I felt so invested in these characters. I cared so much about them so quickly. Anyway, it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, totally check it out. I had a great time.
Really thought-provoking, masterful filmmaking, incredibly controlled filmmaking.
And if I may, continue to make movies like this, streaming services. Don't turn these guys into superheroes. Right. Give somebody $40 million to make a movie and, you know, ideally release them in theaters. But if we're not going to get them in theaters, give them to us
it's one of the best, like, straight to streamer. It doesn't feel like the pejorative straight to streamer movie. It feels, it's cinema. It actually really does feel like cinema.
It's cinema.
Feels like a festival movie. Fantastic. Highly recommend.
Check it out.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.